What's on the table is whether to ratify this payment. So I think so. The code exists for a reason. So is there any kind of reasons usually people might not rectify a check? Otherwise, why this step exists?
So I have looked at this, and I have not found any legal consequences for not ratifying a particular payment. I have not found any case law or statutory authority that would suggest that there are legal consequences for a decision one way or another. That said, I mean, I think that process that was established by the resolution governing the operation of the treasurer is a mechanism for giving the public and council some visibility into the payments that are approved at the administrative level, and so I mean I think that it serves a purpose. But as far as legal consequences from not approving it, I have not been able to identify any.
So we could possibly rectify all the payments except this one, and
yes,
that's an option.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Moore. And then I see Councilmember Whaley's hand up.
Okay, thank you. So it minimizes the issue if you look at one single payment, and I think that one of the issues that City Council probably has historically is that if you look at the payment register, it says the first installment or the second installment to the city contract with the Chamber of Commerce. And when I looked at that, I just assumed it says there's a contract. There must be a contract. There's got to be one, of course, right? Otherwise, this payment register seems rather fraudulent to me. Okay, so that's why I started looking to find the contract and was surprised that I didn't. But let me show you the invoice. Okay, so here is an invoice from, and I'm going to assume this is the one that's being paid. Excuse me. It's from August 10th, 2021, and it says the city annual contract first installment for $8,000. And I was kind of wondering,
could the video department share that, spotlight that?
Pardon?
The video department, yeah.
Oh, well,
yeah.
I'll wait.
It's okay now.
Is it showing now?
Yeah, it's
okay.
showing now.
Okay, so and I've submitted all of these invoices into the public record. It was a public records request. So as you can see, it's paying. It's a request for a payment of $8,000, and I am also wondering what obligation a company has when they submit an invoice to the city to essentially justify it. So if we don't know what the contract is, they should be able to turn around and tell us exactly what this bill is for. Is that correct? Because I would assume that you can't simply send an invoice to a city without having the justification for it. Okay, so I'll leave it with that. There's a lot more that we need to discuss on this item, but since we're being limited to just this annual contract payment, I'll just let you look at that and think about it.
Okay, Councilmember Whaley?
Yeah, I mean, it almost segues exactly into what I was saying before. Thank you, Councilman Moore. I mean, I would be in favor of, the Chamber of Commerce detailing what that payment was for. Yes, it's after the fact, but please break it down. Was it some type of investigation? Was it some type of clerical work? Whatever it was, I think we deserve, the community deserves to know the details of that. it was said that, well, you know, this happened under our watch. Please don't do that to us. These things have been just consent items since I joined the city council, and never was it brought up that there was undefined invoices being paid. That's not fair. The fact that Councilman Moore found this and is bringing it to our attention, hopefully that inspires staff to make sure if there's anything else like this, they really should bring it to our attention and then rectify it. You know, two different residents spoke tonight, and I think they are clearly justified in their request. Which, if we were to, I'd love to sign this off and put it behind it. But if we were to do that, what is the importance to city staff to follow up with these items? Who owns the logo that we paid $1,000 for? Who owns the data files that go along with it? Should those come to the city, we may or may not actually be taking advantage of that going forward. But if tax dollars of our community went to pay for these things should be transferred to the city so that the city can have the opportunity to take advantage of those things. One resident said that, you know, maybe we were paying more than we should have paid, and should we get money back, you know, $65,000 for a website that didn't quite work. Yes, companies do go after companies that have not performed. I'm not suggesting that we necessarily pursue that avenue, but I do think city staff should really double check. Did the city get $65,000 worth of work? Sometimes the job is bigger than what is anticipated. And in fairness, a company makes a quote for, say, $65,000, and they're going to go and create a website. And if it were to wind up being a bigger job, I never want anyone to work for free, but I do expect a supplier to come back and say, you know what, this is more work than I expected. I would need to increase my cost to continue to fulfill all the things that I think you'd really like. And I would really, really hope that our city staff gets in that mode with our suppliers. Again, don't expect them to work for free. And they're doing their best to give us quotes for the work that they think it's going to take and what it's going to cost. But we, in my view, we truly need to be holding ourselves and our suppliers to a level of professionalism that would be reflective of here in Silicon Valley with Apple in our back door or in our backyard. So again, I'd love to move this thing along, but I'd really like to see these questions answered first, and just bring it back to us, answer the questions. If you answer them sufficiently, I won't ask any more questions. And at that point, I'll say, great, let's move on. So, okay, I'll leave it at that. So sorry. Tina, I'm sad that you're finding this in your ballpark. The previous econ development coordinator, was here during this. You weren't, so you're kind of left to kind of deal with it. Yeah, unfortunately in life, we all have to pick up the pieces sometimes. So thank you for your work, Tina, and
Hello, thank you. Councilmember Moore.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Willie, for bringing up the previous economic development manager, and I do feel like Tina unfortunately inherited some of these issues that I think they're very interesting with regards to various policies which we need to be discussing. But what your comment reminds me of is the HDL contract, which went over the contract amount, which was related to the same individual. And so I'm wondering, what is it about that contract that got flagged versus this contract we're looking at? This city annual contract first installment. So when it came through, when this invoice came through from the Chamber of Commerce, wouldn't we have expected the finance department to have, say the administrative services department under the finance manager, wouldn't we have expected that there would be some check-in to see that there is a contract rather than assuming that a city council member digging through hundreds of pages of accounts payable will look at something labeled a first installment to a contract, question what the contract's for, go research it, find none, etc. It would seem to me that this is a staff responsibility and not a curious council member's responsibility when there's so many. In fact, today we have 1,300 pages to go through in an agenda packet. So I would like someone from staff to explain what the process is to tie a payment request to a contract when it's claiming that there is a contract, and how this failure came to happen.
Anyone would like to comment? Staff, yeah. In council, yeah.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Jim.
I'll just say I don't think we're going to get anywhere tonight. I think if anything, if I was council, I would ask to have a study session brought back, approve this, come back with a study session that we can go into much more detail with what we're discussing tonight. Otherwise, it's just going to continue on and on and on.